Yes, friends, now let me talk about, okay, all those things which I have just described, that they are the historical things. So I just advise my students or whosoever is going to study either Vedic astrology or astronomy and everything or whatever they want to study, because my basic subject is mathematics, so management subjects almost, okay, or financial subjects, management subject, engineering subjects, mathematics mostly. But still I'm taking Vedic astrology, Vedic mathematics also I'll take. But I'm just going to prove that what are the predictive techniques of Vedic astrology. Vedic astrology is my, what you call inheritance. My parents have given me, my grandparents have given to me. Right? They have talked about all these things. I have met number of people, scholars, astrologers, and they were 100% true regarding my whole life. And then I just, thought about all these things. I studied Vedic astrology. Reason is that because of my life was predicted by an unknown person. I mean, the astrologer was not known to me. He was not knowing me. He was staying away 1200 kilometers away from my place or my birthplace. When I went there, he talked about everything. I was just surprised at how this person can talk about my life. So Vedic astrology is 100% true. I have found. Number of people have found. Now Western people are just talking about Vedic astrology. Even Russians are talking about Vedic astrology. They are studying. They are so surprised that how these people can talk about my life, about my history, my family, my parents, my wife, my everything. Everything is being described by Vedic astrology. So this is how Vedic astrology is 100% true. Reason is the events are talking about. Or what are the conditions I am talking about? So these are the basic things which I have taken. So please just go through and these historical things. So when you note down the event date, now this date is known to us, or this date is already known, but the past events, I'll take the past events also, when the Westerners or Mughals had invaded India and what were the timings, okay, all those past events I'll take one by one. What were the conditions, transit of planetary conditions on that particular day, particular event, according to the number of historians. I have gone through the whole history. So those historical events I have gone through, how the people are describing, they are just showing a lot of things. Okay, so if you have to go through number of writers' books, or if you want to know about historical events properly, because different people are, as I have just talked about, there are three kinds of historians: imperialistic historians, left-leaning or Nehru-brand historians. They are always taking Western and invaders as very lenient people, very noble people, very charitable persons, okay, very, what you call, religiously tolerant people. They talk about, but they were killers. They invaded India, killed crores of lakhs of people. They were killed, okay, by those people, by those invaders, because they have the tendency of this kind. But Indian culture never talks about to kill anybody. Okay, they are always charitable people. They always have the friendship with the nature and human beings. They are both independent, interdependent to each other. Okay, so they always, Indian culture talks like this. No other culture talks like this. With other cultures, they talks about killing of animals, killing of these things, eating of animals. Okay, eating animals or killing animals slowly. That kind of butchering, I mean, that kind of killing, how they can say that this is to be appreciated? Indian culture never talks like this kind of killing. Okay, kill anybody just instantly, not slowly. That killing is not appreciated. So this is how Indian culture is totally different from Western culture. That is my just I'm not going to superior and this people can just think about after going through all these things, or going through, I mean, these prediction techniques or predictive technology. After that they can understand that what is the superior one. Now let me take the basic thing. What are the transit of the planet on that particular day? Let me now talk about it. As I have talked about that whenever planets, the four planets, Rahu Ketu axis, with Rahu, if Mars is there, and with Saturn Ketu is there, in Rahu Ketu axis, Saturn and Mars, if they are having the same degree, they are approaching the same degree, that even shows that some bad thing will happen. Now in Indian history, Indian horoscope, according to Baramya, this I found very 100% true for Indian events, for Indian positive things, negative things, whatever. So I talk about this Baramyar's horoscope given by Varamihir. Okay, Varamihir gave this horoscope with Capricorn, Makar Rasi in the Lagna. So taking Lagna, Makar Rasi, the same situation is here. So this is the situation here. Saturn and Ketu. Saturn, Ketu, right? Together, Saturn and Ketu. And here Moon, Mars and Rahu. As I have talked about the eclipse of Moon, or lunar eclipse, this one, lunar eclipse. Here lunar eclipse is there because Moon is with Rahu. Moon is with Rahu. Moon lying in Rahu Ketu axis, so lunar eclipse was there. Then Rahu with Mars. Mars is also there. Mars with Rahu, very negative point because they are inimical. Mars and Saturn opposite to each other, inimical, right? And in which nakshatra they are? Let me just talk about. If they are, and when these four planets are together, as I have talked about, then the bad event can happen. Okay, any earthquake can happen, anything can happen, anything bad happens. Okay, ill omens or any negative thing like killing of killing of a world leader can happen, earthquake can come, epidemic can start. So this kind of situation, very alarming situation is there. What is the alarming situation of that particular day? This was October 20, 1962. I've taken these events, these two horoscopes. How do you frame the horoscope? That I already talked about, that according to Sun, what the position of Sun. If I take 13:30, means 1:30 p.m. Timing is 1:30 p.m. The date was 20/10/1962. Time or place was Delhi. I have taken Delhi. On that on that particular day, 20th October 1962, at time 13:30 p.m. What the position of the planets? What are the transit of the planets on that day? Saturn, Ketu, Moon, Mars and Rahu. So there was lunar eclipse, right? Chandra Grahan, why Moon is with Rahu, and Rahu, Mars and Moon, these three together. And here Saturn and Ketu, they are in the same nakshatra. I'll just talk about which nakshatra was there. And Mars and Rahu, they are also in the same nakshatra. Very much inauspicious thing, very inauspicious conjunction of planets. This combination of conjunction of planets is very inauspicious, not auspicious to Indian history or Indian historical things, right? Or for India, or Indian horoscope, it is not auspicious. What happened? The attack by Chinese, or there was a war between India and China. Number of soldiers were killed. Okay, and because of that, China occupied the area of lot of area, Tibetan area and all that area. Okay, and these days also they have just invaded, but now they are away on the border area they are. But in that day they covered a lot of area from the Indian, from Indian occupation. So they occupied a lot of area. This was the very insulting event which happened in Indian history. Okay, during Nehru's time, Pandit Nehru's time, right? Pandit Nehru was the prime minister in those days, in 1962, and this is one bad event happened. And after that, Pandit Nehru suffered with a stroke of paralysis, right? And in 1962 he died. But this event is very much ominous, very much historical negative event which happened in Indian history, right? This kind of bad event happened, and during that period it's said that India's foreign exchange level was very lowest one, lowest in the Indian history. Foreign exchange was there, no international trade was there, foreign exchange, India was in the lowest condition during that period. So this situation arose. Why this situation arose? What are the conditions? Let me talk about. Now here I have taken Sun. Sun was in which nakshatra? Here I have taken the nakshatras also. Sun was in Chitra nakshatra. Now this timing I have just changed. Reason is this evening time I have taken 1945 hours. In 1945 hours, Taurus will come in the ascendant. Why? Because Sun was in Libra sign. Sun was in Libra sign. So if I take 1945 time means 7:45. Here time is 7:45 p.m. Then Moon will come, Sun will come here in the in the 6th house, like this. First, second, third, fourth, like this. Okay, opposite. if I move sun to one house, he has moved from the first house in the morning time. In the evening time, it will be here for 2 hours, and after the 6:30 or 6:45, sun will come here. So it was 7:45 I've taken the time. Sun was in 6th house, right? So this is sun, Libra sign, at 7:45 p.m. So this is how the Taurus sign will come in the ascendant. So you just change, just move the sun, position of the sun will move from this side clockwise. So as I have just taken one of the lectures in which how to cast a horoscope without any astronomical calculation. This is how astronomical calculations you have not to do, but just cast the horoscope with the help of sun's position. When sun's position was there at 13:30, 13:30 is the midday time, about midday time. So sun was in on midday time up to 1:30. It was here for 2 hours. Sun was in the 10th house, the 10th house in Capricorn house, and in the Capricorn ascendant. Taking Capricorn as ascendant, sun was in the 10th house in the Indian history. But here sun is in the Libra sign. Sun is debilitated. So sun is debilitated means the royal things was in the diminished or was destroyed. Okay, the government was destroyed, or government's position was destroyed, position was lowest one. The reason is sun in the 10th house is debilitated. So this is showing that sun was debilitated, and because of that debilitation sign, this ascendant Indian ascendant is this. So India was governmentally, or the government was not destroyed, but it was in the lowest term. Okay, insulted, you may say. This historical insult happened because of sun was debilitated, and this situation, Saturn Mars opposite to each other. Saturn is with Ketu, and Moon, Rahu, and Mars. These three are together. So it was lunar eclipse or Chandragrahan was there, right? Now what are the nakshatras? If the same nakshatras, Sun and this Mars and Rahu, they are in the same nakshatra, same quarter of the nakshatra, the same degree. The degree wise they are just approaching to each other. Now let me just talk about what the degrees of these planets. Mars degree is 11 degree 06 minute, right? 6 minute or 11 degree 6 minute 59 seconds. This was Mars degree, right? And what the degree of Saturn, 11 degree again, 11 degree 31 minutes. Saturn is also at the same degree, 11 degree. Saturn and Ketu, they are on the same degree. What are the degree? 11 degree 54 minutes and 34 seconds. Ketu and Saturn is also at 11 degree 31 minutes, and this is 11 degree 54 minutes. So degree wise they were just close to each other. Okay, Saturn and Ketu, and Mars and Rahu. Rahu is also at 11 degree 54 minutes, and Mars is at 11 degree 6 minutes. 11 degree, 11 degree, 11 degree, 11 degree. All these four planets are the same degrees. So degree wise they are the same. Saturn and Ketu, they are at 11 degree. Mars and Rahu they are also at 11 degree. Or what are the nakshatras? Let me just talk about nakshatras. Now Saturn is in Shravan Nakshatra, first quarter. Shravan Nakshatra, first quarter. There are 4 quarters as I have talked about. 4 parts of one nakshatra. 3 degree 20 minutes, 3 degree 20 minutes, 3 degree 20 minutes, 3 degree 20 minutes. There are 4 parts. So Saturn was in first quarter under 3 degree. What is the Saturn's degree? 11 degree 31 minutes. So when Shravan Nakshatra starts, it starts during this period. So this 11 degree, if I take 3 degree 20 minutes in between this, so Shravan Nakshatra was there in the sign here, Capricorn sign, this Capricorn sign. So in Makar Rasi, Saturn is in at 11 degree 54 minutes. So 11 degree, Saturn is 11 degree 31 minutes, right? But it is in Shravan Nakshatra, first quarter of Shravan Nakshatra, and Saturn Ketu is also in the Shravan Nakshatra, first quarter Shravan Nakshatra. So Ketu and Saturn, they are degree wise just approaching each other. they are at the same degree, similar degree. Okay, Ketu and Saturn, they are at the same degree, same nakshatra, same quarter even. So very much damaging to each other. Right, Saturn and Ketu, and Mars and Rahu. See here Mars, 11 degrees 6 minutes, 11 degrees 54 minutes. Oh, sorry. So Rahu and Mars, they are also in the same nakshatra, same quarter also. But the Mars nakshatra, Pushya nakshatra, third quarter. Mars is in Pushya nakshatra, third quarter, or third pada or third pada or third quarter. So Mars was in Pushya nakshatra, third quarter. What is Rahu? Rahu is also in Pushya nakshatra, third quarter. So Rahu and Mars very much close to each other, degree wise. They are just approaching each other. And Saturn and Ketu also, they are just approaching each other. In degree wise, they are in the same line. Degree wise, they are in the same direction. Okay, same line. So this is how they are very close to each other. That means they are very much influencing each other. So Saturn and Mars aspecting each other. They are negative, I mean inimical. So inimical aspect each other whenever this situation arises under the Rahu Ketu. So what are the parameters? I have talked about number of parameters. And what are those parameters? And these parameters are, as I have talked about, let me write here. First parameter is this situation. We have to just see what is the Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu Ketu axis. Rahu Ketu axis. Second, we talked about Saturn, Ketu, Rahu and Mars. Okay, how they are situated? Are they central to each other, or they are in the Kendraj or central position to each other? In this case, this is central position to each other, Saturn, Ketu, and the Rahu and Mars. But this is lunar eclipse also. So see the eclipse, third point I talked about the parameter. See the eclipse also, Sun and Mars, sorry, Sun and Moon, either lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. In this case, this is lunar eclipse. As I talked about previous, prediction, I just showed that. I talked about that at the Mahabharata's time, lunar and solar eclipse both were there. Amavasya time was there. There was a new moon time, and both moon and sun were with the Rahu. Okay, Rahu was afflicting sun and moon both. So sun and moon were together, as Maharishi Vyas talks about. Okay, to Dhritarashtra, the blind king, that O king, O Dhritarashtra, this is the situation of the planets today, and hence this is going to happen. Nobody can escape your son. Your son cannot be escaped. Your children cannot be escaped. They will be killed. And after that, Dhritarashtra, Maharaja Dhritarashtra, or monarch Dhritarashtra, who was the blind king, he was very much demoralized. Okay? He was so much worried afterwards, and he asked Maharishi Vyas that what will happen to my children? Please tell me that how I can stop, because he is not going to obey me. He is disobeying me always. He is not asking me anything. He is just going away from me. He is not following me, he says. Okay, and after that, Maharishi Vyas goes away from there after telling this whole thing. This is talked in the Bhishma Parva. Before Bhishma Parva, or when Bhishma was going to be declared as the commander-in-chief, just starting of Mahabharata. War of Mahabharata was started afterwards, but before that, Maharishi Vyas talked to Dhritarashtra, the blind king. O Dhritarashtra, this is going to happen. This is the situation of the planets that I have already talked about in the previous lecture series, in the previous production, sixth one production. See my sixth production, very important one, in which I read from Mahabharata the same description, in which there was discussion between Vyas Rishi and Dhritarashtra, the blind king. Then Vyas talks that whole Dhritarashtra, this is going to happen, because this is the situation. Saturn and Jupiter, they are in the same nakshatra, okay, and Mars is in this nakshatra, Saturn is in this nakshatra, and everything I talked about, okay, that we can go through. And now I'm talking about that. What is the situation? This is the condition parameters. I talked about Rahu Ketu axis. Just see what is the Rahu Ketu axis. Rohini nakshatra is afflicted by Rahu sometimes. Okay, Rahu Ketu axis is just in the Taurus sign, but in this case, this is also very ominous to Indian history. Indian historical things, bad things can happen whenever this kind of situation comes. Saturn with Ketu and Rahu with Mars, and this is lunar eclipse was also there. Moon was also affected by Rahu. That means there was lunar eclipse on that particular day. So this is also not good situation for Indian history. So this Indian historical thing happened because of these parameters. So Rahu Ketu axis, I have talked about Rahu Ketu axis. Just see what is the Rahu Ketu axis talks about. Either there is eclipse, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse. This is one of the conditions required just for the bad things happening, in which a lot of things, I mean, soldiers were killed, no innocent people were killed, no more innocent people were killed, but soldiers were killed. This is the blot in the Indian history, okay, because India was defeated. India was just, the army were killed, and India was just, withdrawn from the war condition, I mean from the boundary condition, and that area was occupied by China. So this was very bad event happened in Indian history. Okay, so this is how Indo-China war happened, and on that particular day, this situation is not favorable to Indian history because Indian horoscope is this. And this transit of planets was very ominous one. Okay, so this is how I have talked about. Now what are the other parameters I have talked about? Just see, there are a number of other parameters. We always talk about what the position of Venus and Jupiter. Now in this case, Venus and Jupiter, Venus is in Mars sign, Venus is in Scorpio, which is Mars sign. It's not good because they are inimical to each other. Right, and then Jupiter is retrograded, okay, going to be debilitated. Jupiter is also aspecting the Lagna, the Capricorn, and in the Capricorn, Jupiter is debilitated. So Jupiter's position is also not good, right? Now Jupiter is in, I think, Shatabhisha Nasatra. Jupiter was in Shatabhisha Nasatra. Jupiter is in Shatabhisha Nasatra. I think Jupiter is in Shatabhisha Nasatra, yeah, Shatabhisha Nasatra. Mercury is in Hasta Nasatra. Mars is in Pushya Nasatra, I have talked about. Moon is in Pushya Nasatra also. Moon is in Pushya Nasatra first quarter. And Mars is also in Pushya Nasatra but third quarter. So Moon is going to be, afflicted by Rahu completely, fully. Afterwards it was afflicted. There was a lunar eclipse. This situation is also very alarming situation. Right? So this is how this kind of event whenever happens. So what the condition here? Saturn, Ketu, Rahu. This Rahu Ketu axis is very afflicted one, right? Afflicted one. Saturn and Mars whenever they are opposite to each other, and in this, when Saturn comes either in Capricorn or in Cancer sign, that is also very alarming for Indian history, right? If Saturn comes here and here Mars is debilitated, Mars is in Cancer sign, Mars is debilitated, and Ketu, this Mars is also with the Rahu, inimical to each other. This is very alarming situation, right? This is how one of the parameters. So lunar eclipse. Now third is eclipses. Let's see the eclipses also. See the eclipses. Fourth is Jupiter and Venus plus Venus. If they are either opposite to each other or they are conjuncted together. This kind of situation is also being, okay, some astrologers also predict with the help of Jupiter and Venus. Whenever these two planets are conjuncted either in the same house or in the same degree opposite to each other, okay, or they are afflicting each other, then a lot of things are predicted by them. So this situation is also very alarming one. I'll talk about this later on, but now this situation is not arising, but Venus is in Mars sign and Jupiter is also retrograded, is going to be debilitated, aspecting Capricorn also. Okay, so this is in debilitated sign, is aspecting debilitated sign. So Jupiter is not also good position, is in not good position. Venus is also in good position because it is in Mars sign. So that is also Saturn, Sun is debilitated. Right? Only Mercury is in own sign. Mercury is not afflicted. Mercury is in own sign, exalted one. This exalted sign for Mercury. Mercury is exalted sign, but Sun is debilitated. Venus is in Mars sign. Jupiter is also going to be debilitated because it is retrograded, right? Not good. So, and Saturn Ketu axis or Rahu Ketu axis is just being affected because of Saturn and Mars. Okay, or Saturn and Mars are affected by Rahu Ketu, you may say, or Rahu Ketu axis in which Saturn and Mars are also affecting this Rahu Ketu axis. This is very alarming situation. Fourth position I have taken Jupiter plus Venus. This situation also very alarming. Sometimes I have just talked about what the Sammatsaraj. Sammatsaraj are formed with the help of Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter plus Saturn. Jupiter plus Saturn. Their aspect or their conjunction, they are aspecting each other, opposite to each other, or they are debilitated, or they are just conjuncting together. They are in the same house, they are opposite to each other. That is also very alarming situation, right? These are the parameters which we have to see, which we have to judge that which of the parameters out of these parameters is present here, right? And then, and this situation, Mars and Saturn and Capricorn. If Capricorn, in case of Indian scenario, for Indian horoscope, you have just see Capricorn sign. Capricorn sign is afflicted by Mars or Saturn together. This also we have to see. Okay, so out of these parameters which are present here, this is how we have to just talk about. Now I'll just talk about some historical things. Now Indian history or Indian scriptures, why they are so much true, why Indian culture is superior to other cultures. Let me talk about one parameter. Indian scriptures are based on logic. The logic is whatever, if anybody is believing or is having, is satisfied with the answers of Vedic astrology or Vedic culture or Vedas. Vedas answerable to all the people. If people have their mind satisfied with the answers from the Vedas, then they can believe in this. Okay, but this is now based on logic, based on scientific truth, because science is just involved in Vedic culture or Vedic scriptures. Astronomy is based on science, astronomical science, astronomical things. Astronomy is 100% true because heavenly bodies are just influencing us. Because of their position, the life is possible on the earth. Why? Because planetary condition is favorable to favorable to earth. Only then life is possible on the earth. Otherwise, why life is not possible on the moon? The reason is because the situations are not favorable to the moon, favorable to the life on the moon. Okay, but on the earth, these kind of things are possible. Now I'll talk about that. What are the other scriptures, Indian scriptures, in which astronomical things, with weather conditions, seasons, okay, or you say what you call seasons, or all those things are months, regarding months, days, and all these things are being described in the Vedas, with Vedic scriptures. So we can just imagine that how astronomical things are being vividly described in almost all the Vedic scriptures. So we can just say that astronomy is discovered by the Indian scriptures. So Vedic astrology or Vedic astronomy, or you may say astronomical things, are being vividly described in the Indian scriptures, or from India. This Vedic or astronomical things are being taken from India to the Western culture, because the Vedic, these things are oldest one. Vedas are oldest scriptures, or oldest scriptures describing about human nature or human culture is being described with the Vedas. So Vedas are the oldest scriptures, oldest human scriptures, or human historical things, right? They are talking about the humans, the human existence, about the culture, about everything. These Vedas are the oldest one in the world. And in the Vedas, the moon is described. Some springs are described, seasons are being described, months are described, nakshatras are described. Okay, they are being talked about. Now let me just talk about what are the other things which are to be described. So as I always talk